What is up, everybody? This is Nerdversity, and we are back with our second episode / second interview where we sat down and we answered the big question, is Marvel Rivals being ruined by the streamers, the community, or the business itself? And we sat down with another Marvel Rivals Pathfinder, aka partner on Twitch as well. And also, this creator, Beth Damon, had these things to say about the game, the personal things she's gone through, the things that she sees, and is this game worth it, or is it being ruined? This is what she had to say.
Well, most of the onus needs to go on the company that's running the game
Yeah.
and is either allowing or not allowing the bad actors or the bad apples to continue to thrive in the environment. So that definitely is a huge problem of it. The community itself, having some larger streamers that really thrive on engaging in that less positive light of the games. Like, they're really good at the game, right? Like a lot of the large streamers are
absolutely
good players, right? They're very highly elo, top 1%, top 0.5% of players in the game. And they do have a lot of sway over the average person.
So what I really loved about Beth's reply was the fact that she didn't specifically go after a streamer, the community, or the business. She kind of said that, listen, the business as a whole needs to take more responsibility into implementing harder bans, maybe longer bans than just giving someone a temporary 24-hour, 48-hour, maybe something a little bit longer, depending on the punishment of what they basically do or say or act. Now, we all know that also the community does have basically a big influence. If you look at a lot of streamers out there, people base their gameplay on the meta, and the best streamers in the world, even if they're completely toxic, and in my personal reference, I could name Lucky Zeal or Necros. I personally have watched them and I don't find their content to be enjoying. I find them to be very arrogant, very toxic, but yeah, they're good at the game. So they do have influence. The next thing she has to say, honestly, I really loved because it made a big point about how the community in the world is based on this perception.
But I think the thing that's even a bigger issue, and it's even bigger than Marvel Rivals, is that social media in general has geared, especially young people. And I can say this because I'm not a young person and I've seen the growth of it, right?
Yeah.
I'm not a 20-year-old who all I've ever known is social media. And it's the gotcha moment. And that's it's the gotcha. And we see it in everything outside of even Marvel Rivals. We see it on news. We see it on, with the clickbait headlines. And so it's really just an entire culture of how am I going to get your attention the quickest?
And guess what? She's not wrong. If you look at all the rage bait out there, if you look at all the clips, it's always in a negative atmosphere. People thrive off negativity more than they do positivity, especially in today's world. So when it comes to Marvel Rivals, of course people are going to want to see the more toxic, videos and clips. People are going to want to see that. And guess what? That adds to thriving, to making this game more unbearable for the people who just want to play and have fun, even if it's in comp, and still enjoy a good game without having constant bad negativity.
I do think that a lot of the larger streamers have certain views on certain things.
Correct.
And if you don't fall in line with the way that they see the game, then, you're not on the same level. They don't think you're on the same level as they are.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that is the most important to understand is that the majority of people who play this game are casual players. And NetEase has said that from the get-go. They have said, we are gearing this towards a casual gameplay experience. We are not setting this game up to be just for the super competitive, super really good players for this game.
There was a posting saying NetEase initially confirmed Marvel Rivals was built as a casual friendly hero shooter. But unfortunately, right now in the game's current direction and the updates that have been put out recently, it has caused significant community debate, with many players feeling that it's leaning to be, too competitive, and that it's becoming unbalanced for true casual players. Now, as someone who mostly just plays comp, when I do go into quick play, I do see what it means for the casual players. Not everybody has time to dedicate just hours and hours to comp, competitive. And when we get in competitive and we're low elo, we kind of want to learn the characters, learn, how it is, the elo doesn't really matter. But the problem is smurfing. which is usually dominated by the streamers who are doing, a stream of Jeff, to GM, bronze to GM, Jeff only. Rocket to, bronze to GM only. New characters, bronze to GM only, which they want to win. They want to do this the fast they can, which adds to the egos or the meta concept of that you have to play these best characters to be good. When a lot of people who are casually based are just trying to learn the game. They're going to try and play every character, especially in a low elo like bronze or silver or gold, because guess what? Those elos are low, and yet people can still have fun playing the characters they want, and they can win or they can lose. It's all about, just coming together as the team. It's not an individual game, guys. So these are just some of the really good points that I like that she mentions. But when it comes to other things, this is what she had to say, especially about streamers taking accountability for when they have moments where they say things that they know are wrong, and either A, taking accountability, or B, not.
This game got me so tilted that I said it to one of my teammates. We were losing. They were just not working as a team. And that was literally the first time in 15 years I had said that word.
Yeah, no, I understand.
And I had 100 people watching me on my stream, and I burst into tears in the middle of the game because I was so mad at myself and so frustrated at myself. But I called myself out on it.
Yeah, and I did see that.
Because if you don't hold yourself to a standard that you set yourself to, no one's perfect. Everybody's going to screw up. Everybody's going to make a mistake. But if you're not willing to own your own mistakes, you're not going to be able to be any kind of like role model or anybody that can take you seriously when you do make another mistake. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now, I definitely agree with what she said here, because there are a lot of streamers out there, and we've all seen the clips of them saying, like Necros with the whole thing about strategists being basically dumb players, or you have things such as like Lucky Zeal and the allegations that he's had against some of the toxic things that he said to the community members that he's played with, or even do his own chat. But again, he has a community that's kind of based around that. So is it right to blame the streamer or the community in supporting that type of person? All in all, there's a lot of things that we could all talk about. The things with Simi and Imperator, using the racial remarks, whether it's perceived this way, different cultures, different backgrounds. So it comes to really just if you say something, take accountability for it. Even if you know you're in the wrong, or even if you believe you're right. Because the internet is not forgiving, and people will take what you say and they'll construe it and they'll make it seem like it is just for their own agenda to see you suffer. Now, I'm not saying that all Marvel Rivals streamers are bad, guys. This is not what it's about. This is actually about the small group of Marvel Rivals streamers who are good people, who are just trying to play the game and have fun, who, we might all have a crash out moment, who, are presenting a good, basically, foundation on the community they're wanting to build. Now, I'm not saying you have to support these types of streamers. If you like the rage baiting streamers, if you like that type of vibe, then you like what you like. You're your own person. What I asked Beth next was there, any type of situation or time where she believes, streamers that are pretty influential in the Marvel Rivals community gave back to smaller streamers in a good, positive way, or created something that was able to help them. This is what she had to say.
I was in Panu's G League tournament. Is actually where I got introduced to Antigro. And I loved that experience because I took I took that minute that Panu, even though Panu's not a huge streamer, right? Panu has like 30,000 followers.
Yeah.
He's a good sized streamer. But he's not huge. He's not like Necros, right?
Oh yeah, he's not. Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
So, but he has a strong voice in this community, and the fact that he and Apex Dobby and Quad were willing, and Mark Easy were willing to take the time out to host something for smaller streamers to get some traction. Meant a lot to me.
So overall, I definitely do agree with that. And I think that's a really good point. The fact that she does mention that, there are creators out there who are bigger who definitely want to see smaller creators that are in the same, the same space as them with Marvel Rivals or whatever game it can be. And they want to help them. There are good people out there. But next, I really wanted to focus on the issue of Capone. Now, yes, this has been a very talked about thing. A lot of people are still talking about it. It has a lot of traction. And at the end of the day, it is what it is. But what she mentioned specifically about the issue that she, with Capone, especially that she is in fact a woman, and that Capone has mentioned multiple times that women do not belong in video games. This was her reply.
So Capone, I don't think, and I definitely don't think that's an isolated thing. He didn't do that just to get rage bait. He did it because he truly believes it.
Exactly.
He truly believes it. If you've looked at some of his other stuff, because I went down a little bit rabbit hole myself, he is not somebody who I would ever want to associate with.
Yes, I agree. I totally understand that.
So, and so that was very true to form for him.
So what I liked about her reply was, first and foremost, it was very straight to the point. She wouldn't ever associate with him. She doesn't take his views or his values basically, to her. It's just basically, hey, we're in the same space as Marvel Rivals, but I probably won't ever want to have anything with, involved with you, especially as a content creator. And at the end of the day, your views are your views, mine are mine, and I'm not going to cater to you. And I definitely obviously think your statement is wrong. And then she continued to move the conversation forward. So a lot of streamers would argue with the fact that, well, why don't you say more? Why don't you engage more? This goes back to show that she is not that type of person. She's not going to go on a bunch of rants and post a bunch of videos. It is what it is. She's been gaming for this many years. She knows how it is. She knows how the world is in her, in her views and her mindset. So why feed this person's ego anymore? So crazy thing enough, she actually had her very own example of a time where a community member clipped her basically having a rage moment in Marvel Rivals, and this is what she had to say. Crazy thing enough, it does prove to show that negativity, drama, reacts, clickbaits, whatever it is, can actually boost your channel as a creator and give you more viewers in streaming.
So it's not like, and getting to, I'm just going to say this. So there's a large content creator who there's a Marvel Rivals Discord for content creators.
Correct.
And somebody made a comment to me one day that, they know who I am, but they really don't know who I am. And
okay.
I would really get some traction if I did a rage bait. Like if I did a clip like that, like you would do it.
Which makes sense.
And I just, and so literally, and it didn't have, it was organic. It did not happen on purpose. The next day when I was streaming, so somebody in my community clipped it. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to see what happens. And I posted the clip, and it was my only viral clip I've ever had.
Really?
500,000 views. I got 1,700 followers from that 20-second clip. And those gotcha clips are like, they will get you the follows. They will get you the clicks. They will. But that's not what I want to be known for.
And she's completely right. We have all seen this. We've seen one clip make someone's entire life change for the better for them. And the clip, most of the time, 90%, was in a negative way. It was in a drama. It was a react. It was saying something that was very controversial. So everybody wanted to feed on it and give their opinion. And it's true. Negativity sells in the world that we live in, especially due to the influence of social media. So the very next question I wanted to ask, and this is a question that's very well known, especially in the Marvel Rivals community, was the fact that is Marvel Rivals basically the banter on, DPS, strategists, vanguards, who exactly has the harder role? Are they all viable? Yeah, in my opinion. But a lot of people seem to think that, if you're a cloak main, you're basically useless. If you're a rocket main, you're just a heal bot. If you're this type of DPS, a Wanda player, or if you're this tank that has basically no value, such as a Hulk. And I'm just saying this, a lot of people will always come up with excuses on characters they don't like, especially if they aren't the meta. But this is what she specifically had to say about that.
And I do main strategist, but I have been working on expanding my kit. So I can fill a gap when I need to. But I do agree with you that there is a lot of smack talk that happens to strategists.
Yes.
But this is the thing. I think that it takes a certain person to consistently play that role. There's a lot of people who can fill in the strategist role when no one's going strategist, right?
Exactly.
If you're a good player, you can fill a gap. If you don't have a strategist on your team, or two strategists on your team, or even three, because triple support is
so we're gonna get to that too.
You're gonna lose a game.
Yeah.
If you don't have someone healing your butt, you're gonna lose a game.
Correct.
And statistically, teams that have two tanks 2 strategists and 2 DPS win more games than people who have 1 tank, 3 DPS, and 2 strategists, or 2 tanks, 1 DPS, and 3 strategists.
Yep.
So balance is integral, and going role queue is not the answer for this game. And I will die on that hill. I played Overwatch for 8 years.
Yep.
I will die on the hill
on role
of
queue.
do not put role queue in Marvel Rivals.
Now, from her point of view, and we all have our own takes on this, and this could have, can be considered kind of a hot take, is she does say that it is mostly the more toxic DPS players are your dive characters. Your BPs, your Magics, your Spider-Mans, those type of characters are usually the people who are constantly wanting to increase the toxicity in the game. Now, she talks about it in her own specific opinion, in her own basically point of view, and this is what she had to say.
But for the DPS player, for the Black Panther main, the Spider-Man main, because mostly it's brawl dive DPS.
It is. Toxic. Yes, I do. Yes.
DPS, your Punishers, your Hellas, your Namors, they are nowhere near as toxic as the brawl / dive DPS. But a good Spider-Man on your team is going to come back for heals, is going to peel for you when you're being dove. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or they're going to switch off of their own dive character to play anti-dive to help, because it's a team-based
game.
You work as a team for the objective. One person most of the time isn't going to be able to take out the entire enemy team. It does happen, but very infrequently.
All right, guys. So the very next topic we all know is ELO. We all want to be high GM, Celestial, Eternity, even reaching what we can because we have, we're playing other games or doing what we can. But of course, everybody wants to succeed in getting in a higher rank. It's very proven and it's a common thing. But the egos in between each one of these elos is such a bad thing that we see all the time. You have people in Diamond who thinking they're Celestial players. You have people who are Celestial players who actually were just boosted accounts. This is her opinion on it, and the kind of like the banter and the constant, arguing on, oh, you're this, you're always going to be this, L heals, whatever the case is, we all experience it and we all know it. This is what she had to say.
So I'm currently GM2. This is the highest peak. I'm peak GM2. So
nice.
I got
awesome.
GM2 like in season 3. And
okay.
I have hit GM2 this week again. So most of the time I'm landing GM3 or Diamond 1 when I'm ending a season.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that they put placement matches in, because I hate deranking 7 ranks and then having to grind all the way back up. I hate it. I would rather do placement matches and maybe finish a full rank below and have to work my way back up. But I find it really funny when people that are on your team and you lose a game, and then they say GG no heals or LDPS or whatever. And I'm like, dude, we are the same rank.
Yes.
You are not, it's not like you are here and I'm here.
Yeah.
We are the same rank, my guy.
No,
you know
exactly.
What I mean? So and I do think, and the thing that's really interesting to me is because the game says I'm in the top 2.5% of all players who play this game, which is wild to me. But honestly, the skill gap between somebody who's in the top of the game to somebody who's in the top 1% of this game is insane.
So I actually wanted to ask her, her opinion on, is it easier to basically gain elo on console? Do console players have it easier? Are PC players more toxic than console, or whatever the case was? And she actually broke it down really well for me and gave me even some knowledge and advice on things that I didn't even know about when it came to console players and PC players. This is what she had to say.
I think to be able to hit Celestial on either platform speaks for itself.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
I think there are certain roles in this game that you're going to have an advantage if you play with a keyboard and mouse, because it's going to be easier to aim. You're going to have higher sensitivity. I do think there's more console players who play this game, though, than PC players. My queue times are never as long on console as they are on PC.
Yes, okay.
Even in Diamond lobbies on PC, I was getting the same people over and over and over again in my lobbies.
Yep.
And that almost never happens on console. I might have like 2 games in a row with the same people, but I really honestly, and there's no way to really track the number of users
Yeah.
on
Oh yeah.
console as
No.
far as I know. But I really do think that this is probably a game you're going to find more people are playing it on console than there are on PC.
And I completely agree. I do think that the fact that in PC, I get the same people almost every single game. It's either one person, multiple, they're either on the other team or on my team. And it kind of sucks because sometimes the people that you play with aren't always good, or things happen and you know that person threw your game on purpose and you can only avoid them, but you're going to go against them and they end up getting a better team. And it just creates a lot of, just more stress than it should. But the fact that she mentions on console, she always, majority of the time, gets a different set of group of people, which I do think that is definitely something as more of a positive than it comes to PC. Now, overall, guys, we all know about comms. Sometimes there's games where I don't say anything, even if the game's going horrible and I want something, someone to get off a character. But there's some games where I have to say something, like my rank up game, or a game that I'm worried about deranking, or overall the person's just being completely toxic and we just have to finally say something. I do think that overall, comms is a really big issue. And a lot of people just don't want to put themselves in situations where they have to worry about getting clipped or rage bait or, someone attacking them or everyone just in the entire team going after them because they might have a bad game. So this was her take specifically on that.
I always personally have comms on. I don't always use them. But if I hear other people talking and they seem genuine,
yeah,
I will hop in. But I think the problem is that if you don't use some sort of comms, whether it's pinging or voice chat, that you are putting your team at a disadvantage. But I definitely understand the desire not to, especially women, right? The desire not to, the concern about dealing with the people that are making people hesitant to use their microphone.
Correct.
Whether it's a woman or somebody who is femme presenting or somebody who, I don't know, doesn't necessarily want to be judged for the way they sound. Or
yeah, I
accent
understand.
Or, and so that it does go back to the game company, to NetEase. They should have a harsher ban penalty. They record all of the conversations. And I think a lot of it too is, again, the majority of people who play this game are looking for a more casual experience.
Now, this just goes back to the fact that NetEase originally did make this game as a more casual based game. It was never intended to be a high-end competitive game. But due to the influence of social media and clips and everything from streamers or the community itself, the meta being pushed that this game is a high-end game, and that's always what it's going to be, is that you have to perform at that level. And a lot of the casual-based community doesn't agree with that. And they would like to be able to go into games such as ranked games and to play with their friends. And maybe one of those people might not be specifically the best at the game. At the same time, they're doing what they love and they're playing with the people that they enjoy playing with. That's kind of what gaming's all about, guys. Now, some people might argue that this is a wrong take, and this is specifically what she just had to say about it, especially in my own opinion as well. But the very next thing I want to talk about is the fact that do streamers open themselves up to basically being clipped by the community? Do they open themselves up to taking criticism from their chat or from TikTok chat, which we all know can be pretty toxic sometimes, especially in these types of games? If you put TTV in your name or TTK, do you open yourself up to having, the experience of that someone's going to clip you say something that you might not want someone else to hear you say? And is it your fault or is it their fault? At the end of the day, I think it is kind of relies down to the streamers and the fact that they are putting themselves out there.
I do think, and I think even for me, because I get a double whammy of it because I'm older than most gamers, right? So I have a lot of people coming in saying, Granny, it's past your bedtime, or, so I get the ageism.
Okay, I was going to say
sexism of being a woman. But yeah, I do think that there are, and TikTok chat is way worse
TikTok
than, but also TikTok, though, on the flip side, is what has driven my Twitch.
Yes, and that's what I was going to ask you with that.
It does. You need one. I really do think short form media is what is going to get you noticed as a streamer. Your discoverability on Twitch is terrible.
Oh yeah, it is. It's proven. Yeah.
It's really terrible. And unless you really take an effort to make long form videos on YouTube and gain some traction on YouTube, which can happen, but you have to be willing to edit or pay people to edit and create really good long form content that people are going to want to sit and watch for 10, 15, 20 minutes. There are plenty of people in the Marvel Rivals community that excel at that. That's their niche.
Now, all in all, when it does come down to it, she's not wrong. You have to have another platform that is not just Twitch primarily to promote your growth. And when it comes to that, you either go to YouTube or you go to TikTok and you upload videos about who you are, your gameplay, and what makes you stand out. That's just the natural proven way on how to build your audience. A lot of my streaming personally has just come from the audience itself that I got from TikTok. Now, I'm not saying you can't do one or the other. You can be successful on TikTok or Twitch or even both. It's all about your drive.
The people who matter when you're building a community are the people that are going to continue to be there past that viral clip moment. And I think that there's something to be said about people who are really successful on TikTok, and that carries over to Twitch.
Oh yeah.
But again, even if I don't agree with the way they're doing it, I give them credit because they are attracting an audience. If I were to ever stop having fun when I was, streaming, then I would probably take a break from streaming, because it is a hobby for me. Again, I think that's the difference between people who are either trying to make this their full-time job, and people who this is their full-time job and they have to keep up a certain level of, what's the word I'm looking for? They have to be persistent in getting the clips and getting the audience because that's their livelihood.
And she does make a fair point. A lot of the streamers out there, specifically the young ones, are getting, they're going to do whatever they have to do to continue to grow. And that means clip baiting, rage baiting, having those moments that are going to get them seen, their content pushed out, their channel more followers and subscribers. It's just the name of the game, guys, and we all know that. So she does make a fair point. So streamers who are out there, specifically in the Marvel Rivals, who are trying to grow, you can either stay true to yourself or you can hit the ground going and basically, do whatever you have to do. And that means compromising who you are or doesn't mean compromising who you are. You can stick true to your values and stay true to you and build a little bit slower and a little bit more authentic. It's all up to you and your drive. But yeah, overall, Marvel Rivals is going to have toxicity. It's just kind of how it is. But the one thing I really wanted her to elaborate a little bit more on, and I probably should have, specifically may have asked that, was the fact that, is the game going to have any hope or not? And she does answer the question saying that it's just to be determined in her opinion, and that she'd rather just give it more time as Marvel Rivals is a pretty new game. But with some video games out there, like Overwatch has been established for years and years and years and years, does the community kind of leveled out to being not as toxic, or is it still pretty bad? We don't really know. Each game is going to have its own niche depending on the community, the drives of the streamers, the way the business handles the actual content, and maybe more of like the punishments. It all comes down to your own opinion on the game and basically the chances that it has on will it be good or not.
I think it's still to be determined because Marvel Rivals is a new game.
Yep.
All things considered. And specifically in Marvel Rivals, the toxicity is there, but I think there's a lot more people who don't want to have anything to do with toxicity, who don't have a problem with a clap back than being toxic all the time. I do think that it says something that the player base has fallen off as sharply as it has, at least from the numbers that you can track since the game came out a year ago. But I think a lot of that too is because the game is very formulaic, even though you have a lot of characters to play. It's a formulaic game, and they have meta comps and meta builds, and you end up playing the same characters over and over again. And I don't think I don't think NetEase is really going to necessarily do anything more than what they're already doing, because they do have anti-cheat system in place. They do have recording and voiding, and their ban system works. Now, the question is, are their bans strong enough? But I do know that the report system does work.
Yeah.
The question is it strong enough? Like, I do think IP bans need to come into play. I do think they need to take the people that are serious,
Yeah.
serial repeat offenders.
So this just kind of goes back to the whole thing of, whose fault is that Marvel Rivals, the community is so toxic? Is it NetEase? Is it the community not actually taking the actions to report these type of people out there? Is it the streamers who are influencing, who are using tactics to promote rage bait and being toxic and thinking that, oh yeah, it's okay if you say these things because I know I have such a big influence and people are going to do what kind of I say to do, what I say, and they think it's going to be okay. Does that add to more fuel to the fire? So overall, this is kind of what she had to say about the good side of the streamers out there who are actually, genuinely good people, and they have great communities, and they might not be the biggest, but they have a voice that can still matter, and they can still, they're still true to themselves, and they're not going to change to be someone that they're not.
So I think that there's way more positive streamers in the Marvel Rivals space than there are negative streamers for the first part, to be said.
Yeah.
There's way more people who are a pleasure to watch. You mentioned Simi earlier.
Yeah, I like Simi. I love Simi. Yeah.
Simi, Samju, Mark Deasy, Panu.
Yep, I like Panu. Yep.
Apex Dobby. Quad.
I haven't watched a lot of
World
Dobby.
Kaylee, Beeman Bandit. I mean, Greg Albert, Zotaic. There's so
I heard
many.
Zotaic. Yep.
Lemon Oakham. I mean, there's Andrew. There's so many really good quality content creators out there that might not have the audience pull that some of the larger ones who
Yeah.
do have a little bit of a negative connotation with their name, so to
Yes.
speak.
All in all, guys, it really came down to the fact that Beth is probably one of the few genuine and really authentic streamers out there. She's definitely going to stay true to who she is in building her community. And these are the final send-off words. Just kind of a piece of advice, and then also just, introducing and kind of telling, who she is and what she stands for. The send-off that she wanted to say for the interview.
And my space is to create a welcoming community where I never try to say, I'm amazing at this game.
Yeah.
I might be in the top 1% of people over the age of 40 who play this game. You're not going to please 100% of the people 100% of the time. And if I'm not for you, I'm not for you. I'm not going to pretend to be somebody I'm not to try to get a bigger audience. Now, another thing I'd like to say is that I am proof positive that you do not need to be excellent at a game to be successful streaming, right?
Yes.
You do not need to be Eternity, Celestial, One Above All in Marvel Rivals to become a successful streamer.